Yo, 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 what is going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown, episode 541. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
What's up, people? How's it going?
Carlos Romero.
Yo, yo, yo.
Adam Vale.
How you doing, everybody?
Richard Bailey Jr.
What's up, everybody?
Brian Manjoma.
What up, what up?
And since this is a very special show, we have the one, the only one, Mr. Riku-san one.
What's good, everyone? How you doing?
All right, man. Riku, thank you for joining us. And I know you guys are in the chat already going nuts. Let's get into it. But before we do, we got to tease that out a little bit. Riku, man, how you doing, man? Like I was telling these dudes, like, off air, I was like, I don't have to personally ask you that since I talk to you literally every day, but let the people know how you doing, man.
Yeah, I've been good. I've been out here, not really gaming that much because, like you guys have been saying, this generation is pretty damn ass. Hey, if I have been playing something, I actually went back and I was playing Jack 1. You know how they've been releasing PlayStation classic games with rewind and trophies and whatnot. So I was fucking around with some Jack 1 and Sly 2. Man, going back to the good old days when games used to be, popping. So that's what I've been playing. But outside of that, reading, writing, how we go.
A lot of writing.
Oh yeah. About to write tomorrow.
Yeah. It's funny because obviously we're going to get into the main topic, but I was gonna ask you if you wanted to be on, but I wasn't sure because obviously you're not really. I'm not gonna call you. You're still a gamer, obviously, but you're more of a semi-retired gamer.
Yeah.
But so when you told me like Tony, I got to be on, that was great. But the only caveat is like you didn't get the other half of what you wanted. You wanted to call somebody out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, in regards to gaming news, I still keep up with all of that stuff. So I'm still observing, which is, why I wanted to hop on here and speak my mind. But outside of that, yeah.
Shout out to Brett Murdoch who just joined us. How you doing, Brett? Hey, Brett, we got a Riku, man.
What up, Riku, man?
How you doing, Brett, man? How you doing, man?
I'm half bionic and recovering.
There you go.
Love my boy, Brett.
All right, man. A couple of things before we start. On Throwdown, man, if we fuck up, we will correct ourselves. So a correction from last week, I had to check too. I was like, wait a minute. Even on air, I was questioning it, but I just let it go. So I was, I shouldn't have done that. But anyway, correction. Death Stranding, the first Death Stranding did come out on Xbox. On the show, we said it didn't. It did. As a matter of fact, Microsoft has a whole post, Xbox Series X, but we did say it's on PC Game Pass, but we flat out said it is not on Xbox, which it is.
Well, now it is.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. We said it wasn't. That's incorrect.
It wasn't.
Helldivers 2 also is coming.
Yeah, I remember. No. But remember, I specifically on air, I specifically asked, is this game on Xbox? And the answer I got was no. So
as of that episode, that was true.
Yeah, so that's my point. But that's my point. It's like I asked the question: is this on Xbox? And I got an emphatic no. So I was like, and I was questioning, but like, I'll let it go. But no, it is in fact on Xbox, Xbox and PC Game Pass. So just so you know, we're not like those fucking podcasts that just fucking, throw out misinformation. And then when they get like corrected, they try to double down all this bullshit. We keep it real. We fuck up. We say it,
I think, here's the thing. Like, it was only really announced fairly recently, even almost after that episode it was announced.
Yeah, but that's still no excuse. We shouldn't have,
But no, I mean, the thing is that we didn't know until later on. There wasn't anything at the time.
We didn't know because we don't play on Xbox. But they had a big blog post and everything, Yeah. But anyway, I don't want to linger on that. That the correction was made. Quick shout out to the fans in the Discord. Just okay. So I had a little basically. I'm not gonna get into it because you guys know what if you're on the Discord, you already know what happened. But basically, I'm really glad that our fans are a cut above the regular fans. Like, you know, a lot of dudes out there, they fall into prey to bullshit. Our fans don't, you know? So I kind of forgot about that. So I got to give you guys credit for checking me on something. So, you know, if you're in the Discord, you already know what that is. So that's a good thing, you know, because basically I made an assumption that I shouldn't have because, again, our fans are a cut above the regular riffraff on Twitter. So shout out to you guys, man. I'm really glad we have this, like, gaming community that we cultivated on here. We keep it raw. We keep it real. But we're not into bullshit, you know, even if some of you guys, you know, may not like a certain company that we're going to discuss. Damn, the chat is already popping. Logic wins. Mob Jake, is that Mob Hits, bruh? Dumeke, you know, crazy right now, man.
Oh,
one thing I want to say, I tell this to people all the time, right? Like, the only way that you have an idea that stands up to scrutiny is by testing it against, you know, putting it out there and seeing what people say, right? Like sometimes, like we all know I've said my share of retarded shit, and y'all call me out on it, and sometimes I don't agree with you even after you call me out on it, but that's how it is. But like that's how you know an idea stands up to scrutiny. So I will always take accountability as a homie move, right? Like I'm always gonna take somebody who calls you out as doing you a solid. Right. So like, and I think most of the guys on the panel here agree with that. And that's why we appreciate the accountability y'all put us in. So I
like the way you phrase that, Brett. Homie. You know, it's like you're looking out for your boy. You're not trying to make him look stupid. Yeah. You want to look out for him. I really like the way you phrase that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, like Brett said, thank you guys. All right, let's get into it, man. So just to set the stage, last week, you know, Mr. Jason Schreier came out saying that this week, Microsoft and Xbox will be announcing massive layoffs, something like that, like substantial. They use verbiage like that, huge, like all this shit. So we were preparing for it. And then earlier this week, he came out again saying July 2nd is going down. Get ready, you know? And sure enough, July 2nd came. The fucking hammer dropped. Now, even though we were prepared for Microsoft, Xbox layoffs, this was way bigger than we imagined. Like, not only did employees get let go, studios, games are done. You know, so it's crazy.
If you remember, I mean, granted, this is also part fiscal year sort of bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember a few years ago, maybe around 2023. There was a big, massive layoff, and a bunch of different companies got let go. A bunch of people at Microsoft let go. Fairly similar situation here. They're trying to clean up their books right now.
That's exactly what it is. But yeah, let me
picked up too many studios.
Yeah,
we all knew that.
In the pandemic, man. Okay, so I'm gonna read this from GameSpot. I always get them confused, you know, but let me read this and then we'll get into it. Microsoft announced massive layoffs on July 2nd, impacting many areas of the company's sprawling business, including Xbox. Overall, Microsoft is said to be cutting 4% of its staff worldwide, affecting 9,000 people. Microsoft is an enormous company that employs more than 200,000 people globally. The exact number of cuts at Xbox is unknown, but Microsoft has confirmed layoffs at multiple studios, game cancellations, and entire studio closures. Microsoft Gaming CEO, that's his name now, by the way, Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer sent a memo to staff today, you know, that July 2nd, addressing the cuts, claiming the job losses were necessary to allow for the, quote, enduring success, end quote, of Xbox. So this is what he said. We will end or decrease work in certain areas of the business and follow Microsoft's lead in removing layers of management to increase agility and effectiveness. Spencer also addressed the fact that the cutbacks are coming at a time when business is booming for Xbox. He says, I recognize that these changes come at a time when we have more players, more games, and gaming hours than ever before. Our platform hardware and game roadmap have never looked stronger. The success of Xbox is the result of, quote, tough decisions Microsoft made previously. That's what Phil Spencer said. So yeah, we're doing great, but you're all fired. Yeah.
That doesn't, you know, that memo doesn't, if I were working at a studio and I got that memo, that doesn't make me feel better.
Yeah.
And, you know, going along with a lot of this, that's a lot of the sentiment that a lot of people have been saying, especially former employees of Microsoft that, coming out on, on X or Twitter or any of the other platforms about the situation that they've experienced from some of them, by the way, also just finding out about this just through Twitter.
Yeah.
That's insane. Could you imagine going into work, clocking in? All right, time to get my shift started, and then you just open up Twitter real quick and see that you don't have a job. First of all, how do you even get into the building?
Yeah, no, there was one person from I believe Blizzard, where I think it was the boss actually, Riku. They were just like, yo, just stay home today. Like they said, work from home today. Like, fuck, imagine that shit. And then some people, apparently, they open up Slack and they just had no access anymore. It's like, could you imagine shit like that? So
I guess the next thing they need to be opening up is Indeed.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah, but that still doesn't really make much sense because they're using a company laptop, and my company, other companies, whenever something like that happens, you still want them to come in to bring in whatever equipment belongs to the company. To just cut them off and you can't log in, then I guess they keep the equipment.
If they got equipment, because
the way it works is after your position is eliminated or whatever, you send your equipment back. If you don't send your equipment back, they will charge you.
Yeah, that's why I don't understand the whole just straight up cut off. Don't come in. Don't. Well, you need the equipment. Tell me the info. Don't come in from the email, and then I can't get the email from the company.
They might send you like a shipping thing. Here, put your equipment in this box, send it back.
If it's such a abrupt cut that they did, they'll probably send them information or something like that. Maybe a thing in the mail, giving an equipment itemization list as to what things they would give you, and then they just send you a coffin for it.
Yeah,
just send it all back.
By the way, I got to read this because go ahead. Go ahead.
And if any of that equipment is damaged, they will also charge you for it too.
Motherfuckers, I got to read because Thumeka said this in the chat. This statement doesn't read like it was written for the people who got fired. It's written for fucking shareholders. Look at this one. Here's another one from Spencer. We must make choices now for continued success in future years, and a key part of that strategy is the discipline to prioritize the strongest opportunities. We will protect what is thriving and concentrate efforts on areas with the greatest potential while delivering on the expectations the company has for our business. That is not for employees. That is for fucking shareholders, bro.
Yeah, that sounds like a marketing statement.
Yeah.
There's a part that comes after that, though, that I think is important.
The last this focused approach means we can deliver exceptional games and experiences for players for generations to come. That's the only thing I got here. Is there anything else that you said after that, Brett?
There was something about them talking about cutting out layers of management to increase agility and effectiveness. Yeah. Okay, and what that means is a lot of the cuts aren't coming to the developers. They're going through and cutting out a lot of middle management. They're going in and cutting out a lot of the bloat, which, I mean, honestly, I have such mixed feelings about this. On one hand, I'm like, good, this shit needs to happen. Microsoft made an investment, and at this point, if it's not paying off, fucking cut it, right? Like the Bethesda MMO that still had nothing to deliver after being announced in 2018, right? You had 7 years. What did you come up with? Nothing. All right, fuck it, shut it down. We're done, right? And I think they kind of learned what they should have learned from Redfall, right? Redfall should have just been. Look, it sucks. I know it's been in development. It's wasted money, but just cut what you need to cut. And if a lot of this, and I think a lot of it too has to do with Claire Obscura and everything like that. It's not that the company's doing poorly. They're actually higher in almost all numbers and figures, including profit, than they've ever been. But the problem is when they see someone someone go out and make something like Expedition 33, they realize that, and the people who make Expedition 33 just said the middle managers would never have allowed us to do this. Our management would have allowed us to do this. There was no way to run this idea up the flagpole. We could have never gotten this game made at a company that was too big and too unwieldy like this. And I kind of think they were listening a little bit, right? Like, you have these, how many of these 2,000 developer teams are just like fucking councils that have to, go through goddamn committee to decide every time they change the color of a fucking shirt,
Hey,
right?
Brett,
Like, yeah.
you remember what was it, Iron Man 1? Tony Stark built that in a cave.
Exactly.
That's basically what's going on right now. They see 30 niggas built this JRPG. We got 2,000 of you motherfuckers.
I don't think
dog, Riku. 32 and a dog.
I don't think they looked at Kiro and said 33 people made this and the thing. They are.
Oh no, I'm not saying they do it. I'm just saying
they're plain and simple clearing the dance floor so they look as sexy as they can to their investors. And the way that marketing speech memo that he sent there, because he knows if he said anything else other than because he knows that everybody's going to be reading this stupid thing.
Okay,
it's not going to be an internal.
But we saw that one studio.
Yeah.
There's some studios that haven't worked on games like you mentioned, Brett, in years.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. But again, I want to make it clear: this is not only isolated to Xbox. This is Microsoft in general. I really because remember who's in charge now. Xbox is not an independent thing anymore. Microsoft is running that shit. So basically, if they're cutting, everybody's getting cut. Across the board.
And the way their cuts work is they're not like, oh, hey, we're gonna trim the fat, we're gonna stay within the lines. No, they don't. They just they fucking Thanos snap everybody out. Doesn't matter who they are.
Oh no, Manny, that actually does matter. Okay, I can't say this. Some insider stuff, and none of you are going to be surprised by this. I was told by somebody. Guess who were a lot of people that were cut, and some of this actually come out already. This goes back to what you were saying, Manny. People that have been at the company for like 10, 15 years. Why are those people getting cut? Because they make the most amount of money. Apparently, nobody that was newer at the company, for the most part, they're fine. It was the higher up guys, the guys who are making a lot of money. Yeah. And I've personally seen that shit happen before, where it's like, hey, a bunch of people got fired. What's the common denominator? Oh, they make a shit ton of money. Like you said, fattening up the books.
But that happens in a lot of companies.
It does. Yes.
That happened in 2023 or whatever, when they had that same big old, firing that time. Bunch of games got closed down, bunch of studios got killed. So
this isn't
doing this again.
Yeah, exactly. Brett, before you go on, this isn't like, hey, these studios are doing a more efficient job. Let's do that. No, it's just Microsoft, the big daddy Microsoft going, we got to make our books look better. Cut all these motherfuckers off. No,
I know. Well, and they said like that. That's in that same sense. Like we're going to follow Microsoft's approach,
exactly,
and cut out kind of the middle management. They're going through and slaughtering a lot of people with middle management. Like here's the thing that I don't understand, right? Like I'm kind of asking as gamers, like, okay, so where are our morals at, right? Like we know Microsoft has been just kind of doing a shit show ever since fucking Redfall, the acquisition. Like they gotta have something, right? Like they're not delivering. They're not. And they just keep paying all these fucking people, right? And like, so what, like, and a lot of these people, they're like in management. They're not their boots on the ground creatives. They're not the upper high end creatives. They're just kind of the middle people, right? Like, so like, what do we want? Do we want Microsoft to just keep hemorrhaging money on people that aren't fucking delivering? Or do we want them to not, like, what's the right answer here? Where are our morals laid at?
Just real quick, Chris, Brett, here's the thing. We don't know who all the people that got cut. You read one word and said management, and you're coming up with the best case scenario in your eyes of what could happen to
I'm going off of the best assumption I can make with the information provided. And that
we don't know
that's
reality. That's the thing.
No, they say that.
Yeah, we can only go with what they said. Yeah, we can only go with like. So, Carlos, I don't know what you're trying to get at, because like Brett's just going off the information we have. I think that's fair.
But it's not fair to just say, okay, that's, speaking of bridges, that's not a direct bridge from one to the other. It's like like they said, oh yeah, like we're gonna work with management to decrease that and stuff. And then Brett is mentioning like his best case scenario of, oh well, this could potentially happen. I'm like, I don't know, because
It
could
sounded
be
like they
anything,
said
but either way.
management. They were getting rid of management.
They did. They did say that. They flat out said that. So I don't know what the problem is. Yeah.
Would you say this is similar to basically what happened to Twitter when Elon took over and all of those people got removed?
The thing with Twitter is they found that there was roughly, I think, 12 to 13 managers per every developer. So there was way too much middle management. It was inverted, right? A manager should have a team. Like you don't need a team of managers to manage one person. That's insane. That's like Office Space level comedy of errors. There's been bloat happening since COVID when things were booming, right? For the entertainment industry and games. Microsoft overhired, they overreached, they acquired a lot of stuff at the same time, Bethesda and Blizzard. There you have tons of redundancy, right? And that's just an Xbox. And they have tons of ramping up in other departments too that they now have to deal with and pare down. Now, Microsoft's not a company that knows how to run lean. They don't know how to do that, right? They just know how to do like feast and famine. So the feast is over right now. They're just dumping people because they need to
trimming off the fat.
Yeah, yeah, but it's a hefty trim, right? But even firing 8, 10, 15,000 people is what, 2% of the company? That's how huge they are.
I think they said 9,000 in particular.
Yeah, there's so Chris, it's 4% of the company, 9,000 employees. By the way, I did Tony math, and I was actually right. I'm like, wait a minute, 9,000 employees, so maybe 5%, that'd be 10,000. Yeah, 200,000. Yeah. By the way, real quick, because what happened? Yeah, again, because it's global, like you said, Adam. But just real quick, because I don't want this point lost. This is what it says. The company is aiming to reduce management layers and increase the number of employees reporting to each manager as a strategy known as span of control. Just want to say, Brett didn't get that out of nowhere. It's right there.
Brett's right. Yeah. And it's the strategy that Musk used at Twitter, right? It was a complete inversion. There's too many management layers. There's developers reporting to too many people, and there's too much lost in translation. There's probably too many meetings happening and not enough development time. The soft dollars are being wasted. And when you have huge teams of people, the soft dollars get into the millions and billions of dollars per quarter, right? Of lost time, right? So you need to do something about that. And even a company like Microsoft that's making billions of dollars, they don't want to pour it into developers sitting around in meetings reporting to 7, 8 different people and having to spend more than half their day talking and then only a third of it maybe developing.
Yeah, I was just about to say, because all of that, you remember when they said that all of that chunk of people were going to get off of Twitter? They're like, man, Twitter's not going to function if you chop off that many people. And then Twitter's still functioned that when they left. I mean, it still had some issues here and there, but that's just typical Twitter. And they were adding stuff like voice messaging to the DMs and adding all of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and that will the way that helps what Phil Spencer's talking about with agility. Even with big teams, you can't run as agile as you could. Like Clear Obscura 33 is an outlier, right? Right. Those are a team of passionate guys who got together and made a game. Microsoft can't do that. They can't go, yes, let's use their example. They're never going to do that. But what they can do is cut the management layer down, and that will inherently create agility, right? Because now those developers will be reporting to as many people. They'll be developing more. They'll get on a more agile cycle. Yeah, they'll have more freedom. They'll be able to push ideas up the chain easier instead of it getting lost in layers of middle management.
I hate management. I hate it.
Just real quick.
Hold on. It also reduces the budget, which allows them to not have to market towards as much of a broad mass audience.
I feel like none of us disagree with this premise. The whole thing that I'm trying to bring here is the whole thing with middle management. Yeah, cutting it down, getting rid of the bloat is something that makes sense. From if you want to be more agile, that makes sense. But every year we get a whole bunch of cuts that are due to redundancies ever since the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. And to me, and it's like, and you guys keep bringing up the Twitter stuff. I mean, those layoffs went through just a small period of time. Every year with Microsoft, we get these types of things, either with redundancy or.
I'll tell you where my issue comes from this is, and I realize it's a weird issue, and you could probably get a better answer than Manny. So before I actually throw it over to Manny, I'm going to give you an example, right? Because the very specific thing they say is they want to remove layers of management, right? They want to follow Microsoft's lead in removing layers of management, right? So like when I have somebody come in to get a tattoo and I'm dealing directly with them, it is fine. But when they bring their goddamn girlfriend in to supervise their fucking tattoo, my life becomes a goddamn nightmare. And then when they bring the whole they're bringing their boyfriend and their bestie in so that everybody can have a say in their tattoo, my life becomes a living fucking hell, right? The more layers I have to pass through to get something done, the more time is wasted, the more energy is wasted, the more everything about it is worse. And in the gaming world, that's gonna, you're talking about people who get paid a lot of money. That's going to balloon the budgets, and that's why every game now has to be an everything game. We cannot have this many people in this many layers of management without getting things that are inevitably A, made by committee, and B, made for everybody, so they're about as exciting as the color beige. Right. The reason we're in this place in the video game industry is because we're making $300 million games. Right. It's the reason that we're talking about GTA being $100 and gaming becoming a hobby a lot of people can't afford. Right. Like you can trace everything back to this. And admittedly, I've talked about it for years, so I am definitely not unbiased. But...
Well, I in Carlos's defense, though, he's absolutely right. There's been like bloodbaths every year from Microsoft in terms of laying off thousands and thousands of people. This is not new, right?
Yeah.
So, but what it is they haven't nailed the problem down, so they're just hemorrhaging people, right? And it, unfortunately, there's such a huge company. From our perspective, this is like a small town getting fired every time, right? And to them, it's like, we lose 4%, 5%. That's small on a spreadsheet. That's huge when you talk about people and man hours. But they, going back to your point, right? It's not only paying all these layers of middle management, but it's also the soft dollars wasted. If I hire a guy, right, and I have him in conversations and meetings and calls for 6 hours of the day, and that leaves him maybe 2 hours to develop, then I've wasted, and I'm paying him a competitive salary as like a software developer. Let's say he's mid-level. I've wasted tens of thousands of dollars of my money on his time, right? Because I'm not getting that level of performance I should. Beyond 10% planning and meetings or whatever, it's just money down the toilet, right? So not only are you paying extra people, but you're losing money in cycles of development you don't have, because there's just too much bloat and there's too many conversations happening. Too many egos need to be stroked. Not enough ideas are bubbling up. It's bad all around. But Microsoft hasn't been able to solve this problem year after year. They just keep shelving people, and in the course of that, right, you lose titles. So when Phil Spencer talks about we want more agility, whatever, to put out games, well, you should be figuring out how to take those IPs and move them around. Everwild shouldn't be canceled. It should be restructured, right? But it's not. So you lost the game. You've lost a lot of games. That's not a good sign.
And there's a lot of rumors that there's the what's his face, the Romero game, and there's also
he lost his funding. Yeah.
There's also talk of even Kojima losing funding for OD.
Yeah. By the way, a new report came out to say that the game is still in progress, so we'll see about that.
Well, no, the game's in progress, but that's under Kojima Productions, right? They lost Microsoft as a publisher, so those dollars are gone. They'd have to shop it out.
Yeah, but again, Chris, the report just came out saying that Microsoft is still going to publish it. So just getting that out there.
I don't believe that. You know, they can say that now. Like, we always talk about this. Nintendo does this all the time. We have no plans to blah blah blah. And they do.
Yeah, of course.
They're just like saying that now because on the surface, I can't prove otherwise.
Yeah, no, for
But
sure.
I
I'm
don't
just
know-
saying, just want to make it clear that
sure.
they put out the statement. But yeah, take it with a grain of salt, as we like to say.
Yes,
But
yes.
going back to what you guys were saying, obviously, yes, this has been happening like every year, like clockwork almost, right? But the significant thing about this one is like the amount of studios that were affected and games. And if you'll indulge me, I want to run through them because this is crazy. Like I just looked up 10 studios were affected, or some of these may not even be around anymore. So again, reading this from GameSpot here, Raven Software. Raven Software is an esteemed Call of Duty developer. It was affected by the cuts, but they don't say how many people were laid off. So Raven Software. Next one, Turn 10 Studios. They make the Forza games. Half
Raven
of them, bro.
It's a supporting team.
Yeah.
To the Call of Duty ones. They're the support team that jump into all the other ones.
They co-develop.
Other ones. Yeah, they just jump in and out, and they've been fluctuating for years because there were some people that were part of. Remember the Tony Hawk when that whole thing happened, and they ripped them up, and they sprinkled some in there. So it's like a hodgepodge team.
Yeah. So it says here that the exact number or nature of the cuts is unknown, so we don't know.
There's a lot of managers. They said it.
Yeah. You really don't like that, Carlos,
managers.
do you?
Well,
it's
a
all
virtue
bunch of
signal.
managers.
Carlos is a level 3 manager. So
Maybe that's what it is. Carlos is a manager. He doesn't like all that slander about managers.
They took our dibs. Well, here's the thing. It's like you can say that, and it's factually true that type of practice is detrimental to video games, and so you'll get people eat it up. Like, oh no, that's great. It's actually great, but in reality, their practices are still going to be shitty. It's just they're using it to, put in some sazon on the piece of turd that they're throwing at you.
Yeah. In other words, it's a bitter pill, but they put some honey on it.
Well, I guess it's not so much that I'm celebrating that it's managers. My dad was actually a manager, and he was damn good at his job, and he cared about his team. And I think that there are good ones. But maybe my bias here, like as a creative, is I feel a lot of times there's a lot of layers between the creative teams and the actual end product, more so than there used to be. And I can't help but notice a correlation between creative projects kind of sucking nowadays because they have so many layers that they have to go through and so many teams and focus groups that they have to please. And I'd be really interested to, like I had said earlier, like turf this over to Manny as somebody like Manny. Do you as a creative, do you find it, especially in you're the closest analog we have to this. So like, is it better or worse when you have more layers of management in a creative endeavor that you're working on?
It sort of depends on the project. If there's a lot of moving parts, you want to have people in the way to catch a lot of the direct shots that happen from above that. But yeah, definitely if you're having a bunch of but also having so many people there that are essentially superfluous that have an opinion, those become a problem. I've been in those sorts of situations where it's like you're literally working on a project and you are trying to get things approved, but you have a bunch of people who have a say over something standing in the way between the source, the person that you're really trying to please. It's kind of like dealing with a person who does have a famous person who does have a manager, right? You want to talk to them, right? But their manager is there to sort of correlate and filter things that go through, even though you don't need that person in that situation. You don't need that person in the way. When you want to talk to the director of your show or your game, you want to talk directly to them. You don't want to talk to like 3 different people in the way to essentially water down the information. But again, it's a give and take. Sometimes you might want to have that, especially if a show or a project has a lot of moving parts. So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. Let me continue with the studios that got cut. Turn 10 studios, may as well call them Turn 5 studios because they got cut in half. We don't know how many people were let go, but half of them are gone now. They're the Forza Motorsport team. So you guys know. This one's interesting. Everwild, that was being developed by Rare, that game's canceled, flat out canceled, not happening anymore.
Why do they even have fucking Rare around? Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah,
what the fuck
you're right.
are they doing? Like, it's like, okay, it's like, number one, you bought their company, you got their IP, right? And then you have them making fucking avatars.
Yep.
And then we finally make a game. They make a game. What was it? The Sea of Thieves game that did pretty damn well for them. And then we're finally getting them into making something again. And then you just cut it. Fuck you.
I mean, they made Grounded.
They made Grounded. Yeah, they did good with Grounded.
Just close down their studio.
Damn!
Are they making a Grounded too?
Yeah, they are making a Grounded too. Don't
games.
cancel Grounded too.
Yeah. It's just some games suck, or maybe they're taking too long to develop, and they're not seeing progress.
Let me read this because you just hit it, Adam, on the nose. Everwild, the game was announced in 2019 and had been in development for 10 years. Before the decision was made, and then apparently Rare couldn't find a direction for the game. That's insane.
Right. Can you imagine that every year going into a meeting?
It was rebooted.
Tell me about this game. We're working on it. We got great ideas. Then the next year, what's going on? We just hired Jimmy. The dude is so smart. Okay, he's got some great ideas. All right, we'll see you next year. Next year comes up. So how's it going? Things didn't work out with Jimmy, but man, this new dude that we just picked up from LinkedIn, off the charts. Year 5 comes. How's it going? We're looking for an artist now. We didn't like the last. Okay, right. I mean, 10 years. That's a decade.
Okay, now the game looks dated, so we have to overhaul everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Blitz
in the Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah, Blitz in the chat says, and Phil was talking about how great Everwild was looking only a few months ago.
Yeah, he did. I saw the interview. He was literally singing the praises of like, oh, Rare's working on this great thing. Everwild, I just saw it.
And now you see how the dominoes connect. Why is he firing managers? Because somebody is probably feeding him all this bullshit about all these other teams and how great they're doing. And then when it comes up, because we saw that happen with that the fall game, the vampire bullshit. Because he said that it was managers that came. He didn't get to see it. Managers were telling him it was on track. It was great. Everything is peachy. And then that shit drops and it's crap. So it all connects.
Bruh, I saw this other tweet from, go ahead, Carlos, go ahead.
Phil Spencer really needs to hire Throwdown to go to each studio and play their games to see if they're crap or not. That's literally what he needs to do. That's all he needs to do.
Yeah, listen.
We are open for consultation services.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, exactly. Like we'll do it, man. I saw another tweet. Basically, I forgot what studio it was, but the woman there, she was saying like Phil Spencer came to our studio, told us how great we were, how proud he was. Then he laid 2,000 of us off. Fuck.
Yeah. Oh damn.
That's brutal.
That's
Jim Ryan.
That's almost Jim Ryan bad right there.
That's Jim Ryan shit.
Wait, did she get laid off?
Yeah, she did.
Of course she did.
She got laid off.
Yeah.
So there you go. She wasn't doing a good job. Everybody else was.
No, but her and 2,000 people got laid off.
There you go. He probably walked up and was like, "Hey, what do you do?" I don't know. I help him. And they're like, "Okay."
Oh man.
Get out.
Go ahead.
Well, like, even in the email, like they were bragging about how like they have more players, they've logged more hours, they've made more money, they have more subscribers. Thank you all for helping us get here. Now a bunch of you are fired.
Yeah. An unnamed
package.
Yeah. An unnamed MMO from ZeniMax Online Studios was canceled. Again, had been in development since 2018. Nothing was coming out of that.
Easy.
Now here's the other
let
one.
him go that long.
Remember the Initiative? Remember when they started the Initiative? The studio's going to bring back Perfect Dark.
Oh, Perfect Dark.
Not only is Perfect Dark canceled, the Initiative no more. Gone.
Did you see the whole
I heard that though.
Go ahead, Brett.
Did you see like Perfect Dark was looking fucking embarrassing?
It was.
And ZeniMax Studios can't seem to handle the one fucking MMO that it's burning in a dumpster right now. Maybe they should get their shit on ESO together instead of trying to divide their efforts and make 2 failing games.
Yeah, well, this is the Initiative, so yeah. By the way, it says here a report from 2024 said that Perfect Dark was in a quote-unquote rough state. Yeah, well, it's canceled now, you know?
There is no way to say this, so I'm just going to come out and say
Uh-oh.
They uggoed the fuck out of that shit.
Oh, I was just gonna say they turned Joanna Dark from like a femme fatale, like Laura Croft looking character to Brock Sampson.
Yeah, like John at fucking Dark, you know.
Strong jaw.
Oh, hey, Chris, do you remember what the developer said about this? Okay, going back a little bit. Remember one of the running jokes with what's the name of that fucking Ubisoft game? It's a rip off of Black Flag. Not forgetting the name of it. Anyway, Skull and Bones. Remember the thing we made fun of them was like they said, "Oh, we're a quadruple A game." That wasn't the only one. They said this was a quadruple A game.
Oh my god! Quadruple A prices.
Yeah, exactly. Insane.
That just feels like code for going to cost a lot of money.
I mean, the track record's there, Brett. It's 100% track record so far, right? Quadruple A game, you're going to fail or not even come out, you know? High Moon Studios is another one. A longtime Call of Duty co-developer, High Moon Studios, has been affected by Xbox cuts according to Charlie Intel. I'm not sure who that is. The studio has 40 years supported Call of Duty Warzone and other Call of Duty projects. So that's another Call of Duty helper gone. Or not gone, they're just affected. Sledgehammer Games, another Call of Duty co-developer, right?
They're one of the big ones, though. They're one of the big ones.
They're one of the big ones? Sledgehammer?
Yeah, Sledgehammer is one of the big ones.
Yeah.
They want to be a sledgehammer?
Sledgehammer.
You know, here's the one. Blizzard and Warcraft. Blizzard has announced that Warcraft Rumble support will not continue into the current form. I don't even know what the fuck Warcraft Rumble is. While systemic events, whatever. Aftermath reports that some Blizzard employees will shift to different roles while others will be let go. An exact figure has not been confirmed, but it's said to be as many as 100 people. So Blizzard, you know, some people who are working on this Warcraft game gone. Halo Studios, formerly 343 Studios, was also affected, but they don't say how many people were affected by it. And the last, yeah, what's up, Brett?
Warcraft right now is in the middle of like a facepalm embarrassment. They've been publicly shamed by how terribly they're doing. And 343, I'm trying to think, is anybody happy with Halo right now?
Yeah, no one is. You know,
I'm just trying to a little bit.
They had a layoff, and you know, and they had a big old layoff, and they just supposedly restructured their studio right into this new Halo studio now. I hate to say it, but that studio was just a mess as soon as it started.
Yeah.
You know, like,
all right, who's the last one?
Those guys were never able to pull off making a good, decent Halo game. Just okay.
Yeah. What's up?
Well, hold on one second. I do want to answer Brett's question. He asked who was happy with Halo Studios. Craig is, because now he looks better as a character.
There you go.
Chaser.
Yo, Tony.
What's up, bro?
You want to ask me why I'm mad?
Yeah, because the last studio, you have a personal stake in this one.
That's fucking bullshit.
So the last studio we're going to talk about, and again, Carlos, my condolences. Romero Games, bruh. So I'm going to read this. Romero Games, the studio behind, headed by John and Brenda Romero, you know, Doom, has announced, this is interesting, has announced that an unspecified publisher has canceled funding for its new game, and it's believed to be Microsoft. So in a post, Brenda said, this is what she says, our publisher has canceled funding for our game along with several other unannounced projects at other studios. This wasn't a strategic decision made by at a high level within the publisher, well above our visibility or control. So this hasn't been official yet, but it's believed that, you know, John Romero game was being funded by Microsoft and they cut the funding. So they're in limbo right now. Crazy shit, man. So yeah, this is really bad. Like, I titled this episode Xbox's Darkest Day for a reason. Like, we've had a lot of bad Xbox days, but this was fucking brutal. You know, and I'm gonna, I gotta read this because again, a lot of senior people got let go. The co-founder of Obsidian Entertainment was affected. I don't know if he was affected. No, he wasn't affected, but he has some choice words for some Xbox influencers, and I'm gonna read them. His dude's name is
Chris.
Chris.
I want to hear this shit.
Yeah, his name.
I want to hear this shit.
Yeah, he names names, Brett.
Is this Captain Avowed here?
This is the co-founder of Obsidian Entertainment. So I don't know if he's still involved with the company. Anyway, so this is what he says. His name is Chris Avallone. Or Avallone. I don't know how you pronounce it. Sending good thoughts to those affected by the bizarre Microsoft layoffs and hope you find new jobs soon. As for mouthpieces like Jez Corden and Crowbile that thrive like Romaras on the underbelly of Xbox quote-unquote news, you two can fuck right off, you pathetic shills. Damn! Anyway, for the record, and as a showcase for their integrity, both were staunch supporters of various Xbox titles that were near clearly in trouble, but then did everything they could to spin and bury any trace of bad news, like Avowed. Just tell the truth. Being a mouthpiece won't save you when the rest of the body dies. Fuck! Yo, my man, that fucking nuclear bomb. You know? So, yeah, that's his assertion that a lot of Xbox and quote-unquote influencers knew about this shit that was going on, and they hid it, you know, because they wanted to make the company look good, you know? If that's the case, not a good look, man. Not a good look. This is fucking insane, man.
See, you keep a secret like that with all these people that got let go. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just like you said. What outlet was it that kept saying that stay tuned for July 2nd?
It was Jason Schreier that kept saying it. He knew.
Schreier.
Yeah, he knew too.
I don't, Jason Schreier. He probably also looked at what are the financials. Like, oh, it's about time Microsoft cuts the fat again.
Yeah,
he knew the exact day though. The exact day.
Yeah.
That's one thing. It's like,
I'm sure he had inside people that were saying, "Oh, hey, there's a big old thing coming." So,
yeah. And Rico, I want to give you the floor now because this is the reason you want to come on. You want to go off. So I wanted to make sure you have plenty of time to go off. But yeah, before okay, you know what? Yeah, Brett, any thoughts? And then Rico, you could go the fuck off.
Real quick.
I don't know who wanted to go.
This will take a second. Just to know the date. The Microsoft's fiscal year ends June 30th. So
okay, so this was happened after the fact, you know. But Brett, what were you gonna say?
Despite my callous attitude, these are all people with families, and they're all going through hard times. My heart does go out to them. So, you know, I'm not a fan of corporate structure. I'm not a fan of redundant management. But even if that's the case, that's the failings of the people above you, not the people who have been laid off. Or maybe in some cases it's bad performance. I don't fucking know. But even if you're there completely because of your own incompetence, which I'm not saying that's the case, but saying worst case scenario, if you are, you still deserve empathy. And I'm sorry that things are tough for anybody out there. So like, I am a cold-hearted bastard, but I'm not a complete jackass. You know, F in the chat.
I mean, if I was working on a game for 10 years and it still hasn't seen light of day, I would be concerned for my job. Because I'm like, damn, I've been working on this for a long time. Nothing's happened to it. This isn't looking good.
Yeah, no, you're right. Thank you for that red pill sleeper cell. All right, Riku, go on, man. What do you have to say about all this?
Yeah, so when I saw all of this news dropping, you know, I'm like I said, I still keep up with all of the gaming news, but I'm very apathetic when it comes to a lot of this shit because I'm barely into it. But when I saw this shit drop, and you know, if you was on, you know, social media or any of the like news sites, it was dropping heavy. And man, like I said, I was talking to Tony in our Twitter group chat, and I remember being on the Throwdown. This is a couple of years ago when Microsoft just gobbled up all of these companies, and we had Torrance Davis on the episode too. And I said that I don't think this is a good idea for them to be gobbling up all of these studios like this. And literally right after I said that, Torrance is like, no, this is amazing. This is great for Microsoft. Only good things can come from this. And I was just sitting there like, you know what, Torrance? You got it. But I just knew in my core this is just not good because, you know, before they even gobbled up all of these studios, Microsoft has been up to that point, Microsoft had just been showing a lot of, I guess, actions that showcase that they don't make good decisions when they are in charge of companies below them. And that's the reason I said that back then. And when this is good and all of this other stuff, I just knew it wasn't. And this whole like thing that's occurring right now, man, I predicted this way back when I was talking to Torrance. But y'all know how Torrance is, man. He loves him some Microsoft. They can damn near do no wrong in his eyes. But I mean, at this point, we know Torrance is barely into fucking gaming now, so he probably. This is why I wanted to get him on the show, because I really wanted to hear what he had to say, because I wanted to know if he even cares about Microsoft to that level anymore. He probably doesn't. But I just wanted to hop on here and just tell him I told you so on this bullshit that's going on. And it's not just Microsoft making bad decisions. Obviously, Sony out here doing dumb shit too. And it's just a fucking catastrophe when it comes to gaming right now.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, Rico, because he didn't actually. When I talked to him, he didn't actually address any of that. He was coming at it from that he thinks consoles are dead, that they have one generation. Then after that, it's all over. That's where he says the future is going to be PC and gaming handhelds. That's all he talked about. He didn't even that's what he got from this news, which is kind of interesting. He said he sold his PS5. He said it's a useless console.
And that's why I said and that's why I threw in the part. I don't even think he cares about gaming anymore. That's why I said that part, which is what you just said. Yeah, I assume that when Torrance heard all of this shit, he was probably even more apathetic than me, because he out there with his Bubba Booty Bass YouTube page, fucking getting all types of views, like you said, 40,000. He is doing good.
I found one dude, but it can't be him.
No,
he got like 12 subs, but it's the same name, Bubba Bass.
I think
I'll look it up, but So yeah, that's what he said, Riku. Damn it! Now the fucking fishing threw me off. Now I forgot what I was going to say.
If I could find the episode,
Bubba Booty Bass Master.
I want to follow him. What's up?
Yeah, I lost it. You motherfuckers threw me off. I forgot. It was related to this,
Bass, man.
Yeah.
No, if I could find that exact episode and get what he said verbatim, this would obviously be a lot more.
That's what it was. He said, the only gaming he does now, he goes, he plays Titanfall 2 with his buddies every single night for an hour. That's all he does for gaming, on Xbox.
Gosh, am God. The fall from grace, crazy. I called him an old ass nigga earlier. I was like, get your old ass on this motherfucking show. I'm about to call you out. And he was like, you old too, nigga. And I was like, yeah, but you older. If I'm an old ass nigga, you the oldest ass nigga.
Yeah,
But
shout out to Torrance, man.
You're like, Torrance, get on this show so we can fucking throw down.
That's it.
Yeah, no, that's literally what I told him. I was like, get on the Throwdown, because I'm about to throw down on you. God, Sham God, more like Geezer, Sham God. Get on this show, motherfucker. That was going off.
Riku, to be fair to Torrance, he passed that title to you now. You're the God.
You're the God Sham God.
No, the fuck I'm not. No, the fuck I'm not. I don't accept that title.
Wait, did he actually officially give you the God Sham God title?
No, I don't remember. I don't recall it. If he did, Carlos, I don't recall it.
I gotta ask him, like, who's the inheritor of that fucking title?
Damn sure ain't me.
Maybe it's Shaz.
Shaz, crazy.
He got out the joint. He's like,
fucking don't try to assault your girlfriend with fucking cup of noodles, bro.
What the fuck?
Insane, man.
Oh my gosh.
What's up, Adam? You want to say something? I see your hand raised. All right. Any other thoughts on the whole Microsoft? There's a couple guys we haven't heard from yet. Brian, get in here, man. What are your thoughts, bro?
I'm not surprised. It always seems to be whenever companies get taken up and acquired, there's always some sort of layoffs, which is, again, as Brett said, it is unfortunate. My thoughts are mostly aligned with Brett in that I do hope this works out well as a strategy for them, because as we know, like, one of the issues that we have with most games these days is that the studios are just bloated as all hell. So cutting down on the fat should, in theory, give better games, but I honestly have no idea for the future. I think the main thing that these studios are missing is passion, because I really don't see like these big games have any passion. It just seems to be okay, just put it out there. I mean, there's no way in hell anyone can tell me that Call of Duty is passion like that. That's pure corporate at this point.
Call of Duty's
it's
factory
disgusting. Yeah, Call of Duty.
I know at least a few people who worked on those franchises, and that's factory work.
It's just disgusting. So yeah, I think they're missing the passion side of things. So maybe they have the studio side down, but they don't have the passion side. So the problem will still persist. Regarding the games that were cancelled, it's games being cancelled at this point. I'm not surprised. Games always get cancelled. Again, until the game actually launches, I just assume that it might get cancelled at any point. And yes, that was a reference to Marathon.
Yeah.
And I do feel like people are taking this a bit out of proportion in the sheer fervor of things, because I've seen weeks when other companies had more games cancelled and the fervor just wasn't to the same extent. I just find that very strange. But at the same time, again, it's studios being cancelled, games being cancelled, people don't like it. It sucks. Hopefully, Microsoft fixes whatever's broken, but I honestly don't think they will, because I don't think they know how. And I think one of the big problems is that it's just people up at the top that don't know exactly what they're doing, and that's causing a problem. And yes, that does mean you, Sarah Bond. I think she has to go. I think Phil is just kind of weirdly there at this point, and they just need more people in there with actual passion rather than suits. Because every time I hear Sarah Bond talk, it's just nothing but corporate speak, and it just disgusts me. It's like, speak like a person. Like we're not a board of directors. Like, we are human beings. Speak to us like human beings.
No, Brian, I just got to stop, because that's so true. I'm thinking about it now. I've never heard Sarah Bond talk like a genuine person. It's almost like she's a robot,
Yeah, she's not a genuine person. She's a marketing. She's not human.
She's a marketing muppet.
Yeah, marketing muppet.
All she knows how to speak in is professional jargon. That's its own language.
It's a corporate layer that's talking through, which is funny because Phil Spencer doesn't talk like that, and he's the head of all of this.
Yeah, but even when he gives you that type of bullshit, it just comes off like a human is saying it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Not like Brian. I never thought, but you're right. I think Sarah Bond might be an android. Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. Anyway,
she's a corporate android.
Yeah, continue, Brian.
Yeah, that's mostly it, really. I just, again, I want whatever is happening at Xbox to sort itself out and for them to make good games, but I don't believe that they can.
They're too big, man.
Otherwise,
yeah.
I don't know what's wrong. Again, I'm on the outside looking in, so I don't really know exactly what's going on. But as I said, there's always something going on. There's always some sort of weird internal conflicts going on. Again, it's every large company, but I just feel like at Microsoft, it's just weirdly happening worse and worse. And I don't know about them. Good luck to them. That's all I can say.
Rich, get in here, man. You got any thoughts?
Yeah, so first and foremost, the layoff news sucks. I myself am a contractor, and I've been in multiple situations where my contract has come to an end. Now I have to figure out how to pay my bills. So for those people that are affected, I fully understand the issues of what they have to figure out now. That sucks. But to go to the issue of what is going on at Microsoft, yes, like you guys said, it's a situation where they took on way too much, acquiring all of these studios. And most of us who have either been to E3 or saw the Xbox presentation, there have been many years where we would see a game at the Xbox showcase, then you don't see the game again. And like, what the hell happened to that game I saw back in 2020? So I'm not surprised that this stuff happened. I think it is a failure of the management. You guys did mention Sarah Bond. You mentioned Phil Spencer. We also need to mention Matt Booty, because his job specifically is to communicate and work with every studio under the Xbox brand. So I would say if there's a studio that is failing and he is not doing his job to communicate and to help that studio out, he got to take some of that blame as well. But what I would say is it is an unfortunate situation. We will see what the future holds, but I will use this quick moment to say I had a extensive conversation about this with Gary Swaby and our boy Anthony Frazier. That video is up right now on the coalition.com.
That's what's up.
So definitely check that out. Very interesting conversation, and obviously these guys got very spicy with their takes, but yeah, check out what they had to say.
Yeah, Reggie, if you're listening to this episode, now you know what to do. Go listen to this, bro. That's what I'll be doing after this. Because Reggie, he's like, when is here's the thing, the good, the bad, and the buggy. It's not a series, right? It's just that was just kind of a one-off. But he wanted that back. He wanted Tony's take back. Like, my man. But the React, you brought that back, Rich. That's pretty dope.
Well, I will say this. I'm not saying the good, bad, and buggy is over with. We actually discussed a couple of things. So there is going to be some more stuff coming in the future. So, yeah, stay tuned for that.
There you go. Yeah, I'm definitely listening to this, man. But yeah, man, again, dark day for Xbox, and we'll have to see what happens, man. I just realized I didn't share my thoughts. I kind of agree with a lot of Rich, the quote I agree with everything that's been said tonight. But mostly, if I'm keeping it real, one, this is gonna sound fucked. I kind of don't care. I'm not, an Xbox person, so I don't really care from that standpoint as a gamer. But obviously, as someone who does care about the industry, it is distressing. But the only thing I can think of, that it's going to sound fucked up, but it's real. I remember very distinctly about a year or two ago, I went on Twitter and I said, because somebody on this very show asked me, Tony, when will there be another gaming crash? And I said, we've been in one for a year or two. I posted this on Twitter, right? Motherfuckers came at me hard, bro. No, it's not a gaming crash. Fuck you talking about? I'm like, it's going slow, like a very slow train wreck, but it's a fucking crash. Yeah. You fucking crazy, Tony. You're fucking crazy. This shit right here, and I know I shouldn't be gloating because obviously people lost jobs, but this is more proof of what I've been saying. The game industry is, at least the Western game industry, is fucking crashing before our eyes. And if you see this news and say everything's fine, if you come out like fucking Saddam Hussein's boy, hey, we're fine, fucking cities getting blown up, Baghdad Bob, you're crazy. You don't see the signs in front of you, right? This industry, the Western gaming industry at least, is not in a good state. So I want people, if you could take anything away from what's happened, please understand that things are not well, and they haven't been well for a while. We had the whole, inflation, I guess you could call it, because of COVID, because these fucking game studios figured that everybody's going to stay home for the rest of their lives. It's going to be Death Stranding for real. Everyone's going to be locked at home playing video games forever. We're going to hire every fucking body. Oh, look how much money we're making here. Bro, this is crazy. This is the good times rolling, bro. And then reality hits you in the fucking face like 2 years ago, right? And we're still dealing with this shit, So, obviously I'm not saying fucking gaming is dead. It's not going to die, obviously. It's just going to take a big retraction. And to Brett's point, it might be a good thing, get rid of some of that fucking bloat, Go ahead.
Bro, all I'm saying is Elder Scrolls hasn't managed to come out in a decade, but Tainted Grail came out from a AA studio, and that shit smacks.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris. What were you going to say?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And we've discussed this multiple times. Like, people don't understand. This is not 1983. It's not all on Atari. So when Atari collapses, that's the industry, right? It's over. There's multiple pillars. There's multiple huge pillars. Microsoft's a huge pillar, but there's others. There's Sony and whatever. They're all having huge problems. They're all trying to shed weight and cut overhead and all this stuff. But this is them trying to not bleed out. Like, it's like paste and stuff, but it's still a crash. It's just slow. And the thing is, they're not there's not enough course correction in terms of like types of games and stories and whatever, right? They're complaining that Battlefield has problems and whatnot, and it's like, but you're not trying anything new. You're going back to your board. It's like, oh, we need another Battlefield. You need another Call of Duty. You need it's the same shit over and over. It's Applebee's, right? It's, comfort food, the same thing. And it's like, but you look down the road and it's like, yeah, the 30 guys over here who left Ubisoft made this fucking RPG. Doesn't that mean something? Maybe we should try new IPs. No, can't try anything new. We just got to cut the fat and keep going on the same path. That's my problem. Like, Phil Spencer can talk about agility, but you're not looking at you're just regurgitating the same IPs, the same ideas over and over again. People are tired of that.
Yeah, no, exactly.
The thing about it, what's happening in a lot of these things, and this happened years ago with Hollywood, right? When musicals were the thing, right? All they did was just produce musicals, and those were the surefire hits. But then once the bottom fell out of all of that, they didn't know what else to do. And Hall of Hollywood had to go through this big essentially shift toward the 70s.
Yeah, and remember the other thing that was big too in Hollywood for many decades, Westerns, right? Westerns was a surefire thing.
That was
you know.
Westerns was after that. Western, musicals from the 50s and the 60s.
Yeah, well, Westerns were happening concurrently, because they were.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But it's the same type of deal. And what's happening now, Manny? Superhero movies, man.
Right. But remember also,
thing.
Like, to your point, like what happened in the 70s, what started exploding? Horror and sci-fi, right? Star Wars came out and all this stuff. And all of a sudden the studios are like, oh my God, what do we have that's like Star Wars? That's why Star Trek got a movie. That's why Battlestar Galactica happened. Like, all of a sudden it was like, oh, here's the thing that's going to be the new hotness. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. All right, any last thoughts on this? Because we got another big fun. If this story wasn't happening, the next story was going to be it would have been the headline easily. Amazing, this guy almost buried in comparison. Let's just get into it, man. Helldivers 2, a Sony published game, coming to Xbox, bro. Woo!
That's what friends are for.
Yeah.
And didn't they announce?
Yeah. So let me read this real quick and then we'll get into it. From IGN. Helldivers 2 is coming to Xbox Series X and S next month in a shock announcement that sees Sony publish the game on PlayStation rival consoles. Arrowhead's explosive, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, here's the quote. We know gamers have been asking for this one for some time, and we are so excited to bring them more Helldivers. We have so much more in store in the future months. Blah, 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 blah. So there you go. We're going to get into the Twitter reactions, obviously, but let's talk about our reactions to this one.
It's live service game.
Well, I think out of all the live service games I feel like that game, just like why it did sort of better on PC, I think it's because the Xbox fan base, it fits them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is a perfect fit. But I want to get into it because I have a theory about what's going to happen here, and I'm going to use one of your favorite quotes, Manny. But what do you?
Toe dip.
Yep. Toe dip. You know what? I'm just going to get into it now. And I want to give a shout out to Paris Lilly, Gamertag Radio. Him and Danny made a quick video on this, or they took a clip from Gamertag. And he said that, like you said, Manny, there's an obvious fit. Helldivers, Xbox-like game, right? But if this works, toe dip, you're gonna probably see another live service game, then another, and then they're gonna go, hey, Let's try one of our single player games. And Paris said this, and I actually agree. We might one day see the first single player PlayStation game be Spider-Man coming to Xbox. And when that happens, and people, you know what people are going to say when that happens, right? Oh, yeah, it makes sense. You know, it's Disney. You know, it's fine. It's cool. You know, nothing to worry about. But what is that, Manny? The toe dip again. That's 2 toes in the motherfucker now, right?
Well,
then eventually we're going to, I'm not saying, this is just me speculating. If that happens, who is not going to, Xbox guys don't buy games. They're going to buy fucking Spider-Man. They're going to buy Spider-Man, you know? I'm telling you right now, it's going to open the floodgate. Helldivers right here, it's going to open all that shit up. Get ready. Get ready.
Here's the thing. And we were talking about Death Stranding popping up on Xbox fairly recently.
Yeah.
Nobody lost their mind on that one, did they?
Nope.
It was Helldivers that did it.
Yeah, because
officially, Death Stranding is the first PlayStation published title to be played on an Xbox. Is it?
It's not. Nope. MLB The Show 21.
MLB The Show, yeah.
Oh, you're right.
And Brian,
single player.
we'll
go single player.
And Brian, what was the excuse for MLB? Oh, it's MLB doing it. It's MLB. It's not Sony directly. There's always those little ins they got, you know?
But why
thank you for the correction.
Well, why was nobody losing their mind over Death Stranding?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. It's a good question. You know,
this predates any of this stuff. All of a sudden now, Helldivers.
Yeah. Do you think it's because 2 things? Initially, actually not initially. Now people don't know how successful that fucking game was. That could be 1, and then 2, people don't see it as a Sony game, even though it was published by Sony. They see it as a Kojima game. Yeah, I think that might be it. But this right here is obviously way bigger than Death Stranding. But no, people have lost their fucking mind on Twitter. Basically, a lot of the arguments that you heard from the Xbox guys about why it's bad to lose exclusives on Xbox, you're now hearing it from PlayStation guys. The same PlayStation guys that made fun of those Xbox guys for losing their exclusives. Now they're all going at each other, you know? And I'm going to say this, super keeping it real right now, right? Around 10 years ago, but I am going to withhold names. About 10 years ago, a prominent figure in the Xbox community said that being an Xbox fan is like being a black person in America in the 1930s. And I went into the replies. I'm like, you're full of shit. This is insane. The hell is wrong with you? You know, someone posted the almost word for word same shit about this situation. Oh, being a PlayStation gamer is like being a black person in the 1930s. Like, bro, what the fuck? It just goes to yeah. But when I heard that, I just saw the Spider-Man meme. They're pointing at each other. Like, you guys are the same. You guys are the fucking same fanboys. You know. Again,
Tony,
yeah. Go ahead.
Remember, like 10 years ago, we used to have conversations about this.
Yeah.
It's like which one's worse, and I used to tell you, man, they're all in the same.
They're all the same. Actually,
just
to be fair, Nintendo guys are the worst, but you know, that's for another conversation.
Tony just has the vendetta against that just for a specific reason.
No, listen.
Sony guys just talk shit. Nintendo fans like go after your fucking livelihood.
Yeah, listen, for all the shit
trying to wreck you.
Yeah, exactly. For all the things I've said about PlayStation and Xbox, none of those guys ever tried to get me fired. Nintendo fans cost me money. You know, so come on now. They wanted Chris fired from the fucking coalition. He wasn't paid, you know? Like Nintendo fans are...
Get rid of this man.
Yeah, no, the Nintendo fans are the absolute worst. You know, but that's besides the point.
To be fair to me, the conversation was exclusively between Sony and Microsoft.
Yeah.
They're the same.
No, in that regard, you are right. They are the same. It's like looking in a mirror, you know?
It's just when, you know, Sony has been on top for so long and so frequently that you never really got to see this side of them.
Yeah.
They were mostly on top when everything was going good. PlayStation 2 days, they were releasing games all the time. PlayStation 3, the first half it was like that. And and then but afterwards it's smooth sailing. But then certain things happen, and they turn into everyone wants to be a victim, and it's like, oh, we're all being degraded to insert marginalized community X here from a certain time period, and it's like everyone wants to feel like they're being treated unfairly just because their preference of a piece of plastic.
Weak.
It's all ridiculous.
Fucking weak, bro. Stupid. But yeah, so Helldivers 2 is going to be coming out next month, and I think that's going to open up the floodgates, So what do you guys think about that?
I think one thing though, again, I feel like yes, definitely a toe dip, but it's also, getting another shot to the arm. Why wouldn't you want to try to get that, right? So Helldivers has sort of, they haven't had, they did have that pretty significant update pretty recently, but I think those numbers are not as they were.
Yeah.
So,
but Manny, I'm glad you bring that up because that is kind of a difference there with Death Stranding. That game had already kind of run its course at that time.
Yeah,
Helldivers is still a pretty thriving game. Obviously, it's not doing the crazy numbers, but it's consistent. So that's a difference. This is still a thriving game,
Yeah, Death Stranding. Everybody who's bought Death Stranding, everybody who's ever going to buy Death Stranding has already pretty much bought Death Stranding. It didn't matter if they released it on iOS. It didn't matter if they released it on Xbox. It's an Xbox console itself. Everybody who bought it already played it and is already done. Now, if it was 2, they were saying that would probably be a one that would be like, right?
But Helldivers is still a thriving game, and it could actually expand the user base because, like you said, Xbox gamers love their shooters. Yeah. So it's not really giving it a shot in the arm. It's just like extending it, broadening the borders, as it were. So that's why it's different. It's pretty significant stuff, man.
It already failed to lock itself down on the PlayStation platform anyway, with that having to log into PSN bullshit.
Yeah, well, they fixed that, but they fucked up. They learned their lesson real hard with that bullshit.
That was probably a mandate that came from the top. Like, all right, we need to bolster our numbers.
Of course.
Get them to log in.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to ask Xbox guys to log into PlayStation.
I do think, hopefully, that if they do, they do give that ability. There's some sort of perk, like the way Indiana Jones or I think Sea of Thieves it has, where if you log in with your Xbox account, you get shared achievements on your Xbox. Achievements thing.
Yeah.
So that might be pretty cool. Like if there's some sort of like you could roll over whatever your data is or something like that because it's all getting stored online anyway. So it would be cool if they had some of that stuff, but each game is its own island when it comes to interconnectivity.
Yeah. But you also go ahead.
Is that a Sea of Thieves pun?
Yes.
It is now. Yeah. So Brett, what's your thoughts on this, man?
I just kind of came back halfway in after the question was asked, so I really have no idea where I am.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to get your thoughts on Helldivers 2 coming to Xbox.
I think it's a good thing. Live service games need population, and there's been enough kind of missteps and time with the Helldivers 2 community that I think that they do need a shot in the arm. I think they tried locking it down specifically to PlayStation, and that got such a visceral backlash. This is them kind of swinging the other way and being like, you know what, fine, just yep, we took a hit to our numbers. Just anybody can play. Whoever can play because it's their game. So they're still making money at the end of the day.
Did you guys ever talk about that? The fact that Sony removed the whole requirement of having a PlayStation account on PC?
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, we talked about that. Because obviously that was big news. Go ahead.
Have it.
Yeah, why? It's the higher ups. They wanted to boost those numbers.
Well, your favorite term, Tony, monthly active users. That's
Active
what it was all
users.
about.
That's what
they
it
didn't
is.
give a shit just about sales. You got to be in there paying monthly, right? and that shit backfired. And Brett's right. This is a course correction because it is going to be about software numbers. You are going to have engagement. You're probably going to have people, if there's a store in Helldivers or whatever spending money, but that's what you want. That should be your monthly active users, not trying to bleed everyone at both ends. Yeah. Especially PC people didn't buy a PlayStation. Now you need a PSN account. It's insane.
Yeah. So they got rid of that. So I'm pretty sure they're not going to require from Xbox guys. Again, interesting times, man, and we're gonna see more. So get ready. And the day when the day comes when there is the first big first party Sony developed, Sony published game comes to Xbox, I may take the day off work because I'm gonna be on Twitter all day laughing. The reactions are gonna be crazy. Right? Anything else you guys want to say about this?
I do find it funny that the day the Helldivers 2 launches on Xbox is the same day that the Gears of War remaster comes out.
That is a good observation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you make of that, Rich?
Well, I think that's phenomenal.
That's what friends are for. We trade. Well, I'll give you this. You give me this. Okay.
Is this friendship or hostage negotiation?
The hostage negotiation. Yeah, right. They're changing. I would give you one. We give one. Oh man. All right, man. If we're done with that, we can move on to the last thing here. We got to talk about. By the way, we covered all the big three tonight. So who's left?
Oh yeah.
Got to talk about the Switch. And one thing.
Do we?
Yeah, we do. We do actually. Because we got to gloat again, Brett. Throwdown. But that's the last thing. We'll talk about some of the news that's got. Then the last thing we're going to talk about is something Chris brought up, and he was actually right about. Throwdown. We got to gloat, man. Sometimes. So apparently, even though the Switch has been difficult to procure, it has apparently sold 5 million units worldwide. Probably in stores, like Chris said, probably shipped to stores. So that's going on there. Because I know we previously talked about how it was 3 million, but now apparently it's 2. I don't know where those extra 2 million came from. Pretty interesting stuff there. Let me read this real quick. It's from some site called Nintendo Soup. Never heard of them. It seems that Nintendo has put out a sales update to the Nintendo Switch 2 to its investors. Okay, so this is from investor shit. So this is how much is made. Let's break it down. In the Americas, it's sold 1.8 million. In Japan, 1.4 million. Europe, 1.1 million. And other, 550,000. So if you add it up, it's around 5 million. Very interesting. Anybody got any thoughts on that?
You said it's about 5 million?
Yeah.
Okay, let me do some math here. I'll get right back to
you. You got it. And also related, Canada is about to get some price hikes for the Switch.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Damn, Chris, like what? 2 months after the fact, it's like, nope, bump up the price. 1 month after the fact, yeah, it's crazy.
Damn.
I don't know how much. It doesn't say here how much you're going to bump it up by, but it's going to be happening, and it's happening to all Nintendo consoles, not just a Switch 2. So yeah.
Insane.
Okay, just to clarify, so the price hikes are coming to Nintendo consoles except the Switch 2. So okay, just to clarify that. But if you want to buy the Switch OLED, you got to pay a little more.
Tony, remember what I said? They're still going to be selling those Switch consoles.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Oh yeah, no. Doug Bowser said, if you're, to all the peasants out there, you can't afford a Switch 2. Switch for you.
They're definitely.
I think they're doing the squeeze. You charge a little more for the old, and then people start thinking about it. It's like, well, just for a little more, I can get the newer one, and they're trying to do that little bullshit.
Yeah, that's interesting thing, because usually you would lower the price of the old console. They're raising the price of the old console,
right?
Very
counterintuitive.
Yeah, so
it's a collector's item now.
Yeah, right. Pretty much. So there's that. And then here's the thing, Chris. I'm gonna give you the floor to you because we got to gloat. Because you said, okay, we now know that basically Nintendo can brick your console if you're not using it in the way they deem you use it, right? And you said, hey, someone's gonna sue because this is illegal. Now it seems that Brazil's the first country that's doing it. You know,
nice. Hey, math, real quick. Sorry, before you jump into that, because I want to pay full attention to what Chris has to say. I just want to point out that Nintendo is bragging about transferring 4% of their active user base over to the new model. Like, that's the flex that they're given. There's 128 million active Switch users, and they're like, oh, well, we sold 5 million. That's 4%. 4%.
Yeah, but to be fair, though, they weren't going to ship 120 million Switch 2 units. That'd be impossible.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, it's a fucking nothing burger. Of course, your 10% most enthusiastic rabid audience are going to go try and, find that shit, especially with the user base that high. Like, of course you're going to sell out with that many units. Like, you haven't made enough units to show people that they haven't been interested, right? Like,
so do you think?
I'm curious, like, how?
Yeah. No, hold on, Brett. So do you think that if a console comes out and they sell X amount of millions, they shouldn't talk about it until a few years pass by?
No, I'm just saying that, like, this article about talking about how it's successful and this is evidence of its success. It's not evidence of its success. I'm even looking up the Wii U numbers. They haven't even hit Wii U numbers yet.
Yeah,
right. Like, so.
But how much did those Wii U sell when it first came out in its first month?
Let me see.
Yeah, but again, I'm just not understanding what you're against here, because I'm like, no console in history is gonna just outsell the previous one in 1 month. You know, that's impossible.
Yeah.
So I don't understand the argument there.
And also, you can't just calculate that math that they're transferring their active users from the Switch to the Switch 2. There's plenty of new people who haven't owned the Switch or any console. There's always gamers being born every day, right? So you have they engage new customers as well. So that you can't just say that's absolutely a transition from the old system to the new system. There's other people who get into it.
Case in point, the PS4. Not like a good chunk, it was like a third of it. The people that bought a PS4 were Xbox guys, so there was no transferring there. So I'm just questioning why it's, you know what I'm saying? Does it make any, like, are we going to hold every console to this standard moving forward? You know, like they need to sell X amount for them to brag. It's a little weird. I'm not understanding your logic here.
I guess I'm saying you can't deem a console this new and with this limited a supply a success. You just can't do it. And you can turn the numbers to try and look like it, but like,
how much would they not needed to sell in order for you to consider them a success after 1 month?
That's a good question. I might have to eat my hat on that one. I'll look and see what some other things were.
Well, I mean, these numbers are good for investors. If you're counting net sales, like I was saying before, to points of purchase, the big box retailers and stuff, that's not in users' hands. They're not talking about, so how many Switch 2 active users do you have right now? That never comes up, right? And why doesn't it come up? Because it's probably not 5 million. It's probably not it's probably not 2.5 million. I'm willing to wager it's under 2 million. So they're never going to talk about those numbers until they start getting some parity between the number of units they have put out in the market versus the number of units that are in people's hands. They have a Switch Online account and they're actively playing, right? So I'm curious about that number. But the 5 million number sounds great to investors. They love that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so 5 million units, of course. It's great. And 3 months. Okay, that sounds great. Nobody asked how many active users do you have on the Switch 2 right now? Nobody's asking that, and they're not offering that information. So I find that very curious. I would love to hear that number.
Yeah. By the way, just to be clear, this is the fastest selling console of all time. No console. So that's why I'm kind of questioning where you're coming from. Like, what are you comparing it to? It's literally the top selling in its first month ever, you know?
Okay. All right. I probably need to get some crow on that one then. I was trying to look that up. I was like, man, it's really tough to see. And like, I'll even give the fact that like, yeah, man, like the hobby's been getting larger, but yeah, if this is the fastest selling of all time, then yeah, that is impressive. That is impressive.
Yeah, and it's in its first month. Yeah, again, because Brett, I'm not trying to get on your ass. I was just trying to understand the logic. Because usually, even when I did, because you, yeah,
fair,
yeah,
it's fair,
yeah. Because usually, even when I disagree with you, I'm like, okay, I see what he's saying though. But just wanted to clear that. Anyway, Chris.
Yeah, I was having trouble putting that into perspective of like context of like what others are selling. Like, yeah, if that's the most numbers sold in the first month, and like, yeah, no, that's fucking great. It just has such a high install base that I'm like, yeah, I mean, of course they're going to do those numbers. It just feels like it's not news to me. I guess I'm like, the Switch 1 was such a wild success. Even if they fucked it up, I feel like they'd be doing those numbers. Like, so like,
I mean, I was about to ask, even though it is indeed impressive, is it really surprising?
No, and Brett, there's the logic I was looking for. That makes sense. What you just said right now. Now I see why you're saying that. Because you're like, of course this was going to sell that much. I mean, I agree with you. I'm not surprised by those numbers at all. But yeah, that's all I wanted. I wanted the logic. You gave it to me, and I'm happy. And like you said, Brett, what did you call it? The homie lookout, doing my job, man. But no,
right? But I'll just keep me from sounding like a dumbass in public. I mean, this is public enough that like y'all can throw eggs at me here. It's cool.
But yeah, because I mean, if they sold 5 million, that's probably all they've manufactured so far.
I think that's it. It's a number of how much can they manufacture and how much can they get out to the stores. Now, like if they like, I want to say I fully expect them to hit Switch numbers, but as I said that out loud, I'm like, I don't know, man. Do I?
It's a good question. Chris, I don't know if you remember numbers. Didn't they say they expect to sell 17 million or so
15 the fiscal year? Yeah.
So that's the barometer we're looking at. They're
a third of the way there.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing: you have to have momentum through the holidays, right, to hit that number. So yes, so barreling off the success of the Switch, they're riding momentum, but the Wii U did sort of the same thing, and I'll look up the exact numbers when I have a chance of the Wii U, because it had a precipitous drop off after the first 90 days. But the Wii was successful, right? So you ride that momentum, but if you don't have offerings after that, if the technology is not there, people weren't happy with the system, whatever. Here you have one exclusive coming out in like a week or so, Donkey Kong, and then you don't have another exclusive till next year. So where's the momentum? Where's the reason to buy this thing? I think it's gonna start slowing down, and I don't know if I'm gonna wager they're gonna revise that number down probably by holiday to like 12 million or maybe less, but I don't know. We'll see.
I'm still interested to see what the sales will be, because I mean, look at the PS5. It really hasn't had any crazy PS5 games damn near this entire generation, yet the PS5 still sold, one would predict, with the games that it does have, and with the Switch 2 being called the Switch 2, and Nintendo basically taking the safest route that they could have possibly taken in regards to making a successor to the Switch. It's like, I'm not saying that they're gonna hit their numbers, but I doubt it's gonna be anything that's disappointing.
Yeah. Hey Riku, did you change your mic by any chance? You sounded different.
I think I may have adjusted.
There you go. Now you sound good.
It won't be disappointing, because in the first year, they're predicting that they will outsell the lifetime of the Wii U. Right, the Wii U was 13.3 million lifetime.
How much is that? Come on, man! Like, that's not saying much. Fucking Wii U,
Well, 15 million
I'll say this: it would be for them to make numbers that they're expecting, these big numbers. I agree with you, Chris. They definitely need something more than just Mario Kart and Donkey Kong for the next year. And usually around this time is when you would hear about the 3D Mario, but the 3D Mario guys are working on that Donkey Kong, and Donkey Kong doesn't have much pull as Mario himself, even though it's their team, and this is probably going to be the highest rated and best selling Donkey Kong game of all
And so
time.
far, what I've
And
seen.
then
Oh,
there's
go ahead. Go ahead.
Pokemon. You know, that's all.
Which is not
right.
exclusive, though. That's not exclusive. That's the thing. Switch people can play this new Legends game, the Z to A game is a Switch. It's basically multi-plat. It's Switch and.
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't even thinking about that particular Pokemon.
Yeah, same
game.
thing
I was
with-
just talking about a Pokemon game for the Switch 2 in particular.
Yeah, same
only.
thing with
Right.
Metroid. That's coming out on Switch as well.
Yeah.
They're not exclusive, so that's not
But-
really a
but,
draw.
But you also have to take into consideration Nintendo usually does have games that will launch on their new console but also their old console at the same time. Like for example, Twilight Princess
And Breath of
or
the Wild.
Breath of the Wild, where it's like Breath of the Wild was a Wii U game, but
Yep.
everybody knows it to be a Switch game, and majority of people bought it on the Switch too. And when you talk, I mean, on the Switch, you know, and when you talk about Breath of the Wild, they're like, "That's a great Switch game." And that was a Wii U game ported to the Switch. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with God of War. Which one was it? Ragnarok? Wasn't that originally a PS4
not
game?
originally.
But-
It came out at both. Yeah, it was on both, right? It was on PS4 and PS5 simultaneously. Yes.
That in Horizon.
yeah,
And
but
Riku, I agree with
majority of
you.
people.
Yeah, I
The
think.
majority of people bought it on the PS5.
Yeah, and I think the same thing's gonna happen with Metroid Prime 4, I believe.
Yeah.
It even though it is on Switch, it'll probably sell the most on Switch too.
Yeah. So that is also another aspect to take into consideration. Even though they're not Switch 2 games and they're launching on the Switch 1, there's a high chance that majority of people are going to be buying it on their Switch 2.
Yeah.
Just like Breath of the Wild.
People on Twitter are crazy. PlayStation has gone full Sega. They are dead. See how
Oh, brother.
What?
You know, somebody posted a screenshot of Helldivers. You could pre-order it now, and it says, you know, they highlighted PlayStation Publishing LLC.
What's the price for that? What are they asking for?
$40.
$40.
Yeah, you can
You
pre-order
know
it now.
that Tony Hawk 3 and 4. That's a $70 game.
That's crazy.
Oh, okay.
That
This
was
person is
$40.
actually not crazy. I had to finish
Crazy.
reading the rest.
$70.
This way it said, PlayStation has gone full Sega. They are dead. See how fucking stupid that sounds? That's literally how some of y'all talk about Xbox. Facts. Facts. But yeah, Chris, Brazil, the first country to sue Nintendo. What do you make about that, man?
Well, I mean, they have a great point. This was the point I was making, and it's a point of ownership, right? Ownership of a product. Once you pay for a product, right, it's supposed to be yours, right? And you're allowed to do whatever you want with it. You buy a house, you can remodel it. You buy a car, you can, hell, if you want to stick a Ramjet in there, go ahead, right? You know, Ford or whatever's not going to sue you. Like, oh, I can't use your car like that. It's you purchased it. So for Nintendo to go, oh, you know, we can dictate and look at your system and see how you're using it, and then go, oh, well, you're not allowed to mod it. You're not allowed to do this. People should be able to do what they want. So Brazil seeing this as overreach. I'm surprised. I thought the EU was going to be first, but you know, there are laws in multiple countries against this stuff. It's about ownership of your product, what the rights of the consumer are, and Nintendo's clearly in violation of it. So that lawsuit's going to be interesting. I don't know if it'll be enough, if they'll settle in that market and just keep doing it because they're Nintendo, and I doubt they'll learn anything. But if there's a big enough market that hits them, like an EU lawsuit, then they'll reverse course, because then you're hitting a major market, right? Europe, and it could happen here too, because there's been plenty of cases, especially against Apple, where Apple was like, oh, you're not allowed to mod your system, change your batteries, whatever. We'll just, you know, you can't use your system, or we'll make sure that if you install a new battery, it doesn't work, it's not compatible. You can't do that stuff. They've lost cases like that. They lost the iFixit case.
Yeah.
So there's precedent for this, and I'm sure this is going to cascade into other lawsuits. But it's clearly egregious, right? You can stop people from connecting online if you want. Xbox has been doing this. Sony's been doing this. If you mod your system, you go online, you cheat, you're going to get banned from Xbox Live, PSN, whatever. You shouldn't do that. But to then say, hey, oh, you're using an unsupported SD card, what they consider unsupported, and or you mod your system and you're changing the voltage to maybe overclock it, whatever they consider unauthorized use, which is a hell of a term, unauthorized use, that they can brick your system. That's completely egregious. I was ranting about that when I heard it. I think Brazil is clearly in the right here to sue them, and I hope they do. I hope they go through with it. I hope that this will be enough to end it. I don't think it will. I think it will take something on the level of an EU level lawsuit or an FTC suit to stop it. But this is a good start.
Yeah, because Nintendo's not going to listen to Eddie Gordo. It's going to take somebody else to get shit going here.
And they need to listen to the World Warriors, not Eddie Gordo.
Yeah, that's you hating on Tekken. Oh man. All right. Anybody else want to jump in on that? Nintendo being, or Brazil being the good guy here. It's funny.
The tea leaves were like slapping you in the face.
Yeah. So the first person that made me aware of this was Mob Hits, Chris, and I just replied with, tea leaves. That's all I replied with. Because he said like, "Yo, Tony, didn't Chris call this shit?" And I just replied with tea leaves. That's it. It's crazy, man. But yeah, that is some wild stuff. It's like unauthorized, like it's just a vague, nebulous term. It's like it could mean anything. It's like, what if I put a sticker on it? Like, oh shit, I changed it. You're gonna brick your console now. I don't know. It's stupid. Anyway,
mandatory playtime.
Yeah. All right. This episode is actually running at a pretty good pace. I thought we were going to go longer with the Xbox stuff, but we had to say. But we're going to end the show with some fun. Enrico, I think this one upset you the most. So my condolences to you. Neil Druckmann will be leaving HBO's The Last of Us.
Neil Druckmann, oh no.
He says that he wants to concentrate on the intergalactic game and all that. My theory, he knows what's about to happen with season 3. The Abby season. He doesn't want any part of that. So he's like, I'm out. I'm out now.
He's like, you can't blame me for this. I didn't touch any of this.
Yeah, but you wrote it, bitch.
I think he was hoping that the casuals, the non-gamers, would be more embracing for all this, and they're not.
Nope.
So once that announcement came out that she was going to be the focal point for season 3, you could already see the downvotes, the comments of like, why? I don't need this. No. And that's when he was like, all right, you know what? It's the same audience. I gotta go.
Yeah,
and people love that.
I was actually watching an interview for Neil Druckmann earlier today, and in one of the interviews, he was talking about how, some of his original ideas for previous Naughty Dog installments that got shut down by people that were a bit higher up than him, and some of them, he said, were basically ideas that he always wanted to do, but they were getting shut down. And those ideas were the ones that made it into The Last of Us Part 2. And some of those examples consist of when they were creating the story for Uncharted 2. He apparently really wanted to kill Elena back in Uncharted 2.
Oh, wow.
And that idea got shut down. And then he apparently, when he originally created one of the plots for The Last of Us, the first Last of Us, it was supposed to be a revenge story where Trish was supposed to be hunting down Joel, and that was going to be a revenge story about Trish, his ex, hunting him down. But apparently that got scrapped because why would an ex be trying to kill you in the middle of a zombie apocalypse? Yeah. So that one got shut down. And then his last idea that got shut down was I think he wanted a major death of a character, which I think that one was also supposed to be Elena. He wanted a major death of a character. And it's funny that all three of those scrapped ideas made it into The Last of Us Part 2.
That's amazing.
And it's better in Wild Wild West.
Now, so Rico, what's your thoughts on this? Because you like The Last of Us 2, the game.
I did I did enjoy The Last of Us Part 2. In regards to him leaving the HBO show, I haven't even seen season 2 of the HBO thing. So to be honest,
played the
I
game,
don't
then
care.
you've seen it already because it's like it's on point with all
Yeah,
of it.
yeah, and I don't really like the actor that's doing what's her name?
Oh, you don't like the potato head?
Oh yeah, I saw the screenshots. I heard shooting the gun, like that's everywhere. I was like, Jesus Christ, this shit looks cringe as fuck. So I maybe I'll get to it someday. There is obviously no rush. So hearing that he's leaving for the second half for the Abby stuff, I don't really care, to be honest with you. Like I said, I'm in the minority. I enjoyed The Last of Us Part 2 for what it was. I enjoyed it and accepted for what it was. I did wish the overarching plot of the Cordyceps did progress, but it's whatever. Like I said, I'm over here playing Jack 1, man. That's where my Naughty Dog enjoyment is coming from. So hopefully we can get after this whole Last of Us thing and PlayStation goes through some sort of metamorphosis. We can get back to Jack 4. But
You've been asking that for years too, man.
Oh yeah, and I'm gonna continue to ask for that shit.
You know, that and Sonic Adventure 3, you know?
Oh yeah. Well, I feel like I really gotta give up with Sonic Adventure 3 now, because I think there was a article that came out earlier this week, Sega talking about we have no plans to even remake Sonic Adventure 1 right now. We are better off making a brand new Sonic title than remaking Sonic Adventure 1, which in my head I'm like, I'm telling you right now, there is no new Sonic game that you can make that will make you more money than making a faithful remake of Sonic Adventure 1 or Sonic Adventure 3. Nothing. Not them racing kart games.
Or just fixing those games.
Yeah. If they made, like, you know how the Spyro remake, you know, is basically that's the definitive way to play the Spyro trilogy. Same thing with like Crash and whatnot. If Sonic had a remake equivalent to that, that would sell better than any new Sonic installment that Sega could ever make. So them saying, "Oh, we're better off making a new Sonic," you guys are fucking retards. You need to go find someone to. No, I'm not hearing
disagree.
it.
Uh-oh.
Well, I disagree with you. Disagree.
I disagree with you. Disagree. You motherfucker.
There is what Sonic? Tell me this: what Sonic game could they make that you think would make more money than a Sonic Adventure remake?
Sonic Mania 2.
Ooh, no, that's a good answer. Yeah,
I don't think. I think it would be rated higher. I don't think it would make more, especially since they wouldn't charge a Sonic Mania 2 at full price.
That is a good point. But what about copies sold though? Because I would venture to say there's more people that like classic Sonic than 3D Sonic. You know, maybe I'm wrong about that.
That's my premise of my stance is I feel like Riku's in the minority when it comes to Sonic Adventure love.
But here's the thing: Sonic Frontiers sold crazy well, and that game rated like middle of the road, and that's a 3D Sonic game. So it's like I think the 3D Sonic fans are crazy. They go out and support. Look at the sales. Look at the sales of all of these recent 3D Sonic games that have been getting mid reviews, yet they sell really fucking well.
And even though I prefer the old classic Sonic games, here's something I'll throw Riku to help you out. The Sonic movies have done very well, and that probably helps out the 3D
Not in
games.
Japan, though.
Yeah, but over here, you know,
it is in Japan. Yeah. I think the animation studio is Japanese, though, right?
No, the 3D
animation studio.
Yeah, it's a American joint. Yeah,
it's an American company. Yeah,
I thought it was the same people. I thought it was the same animation studio that did the CG opening for Sonic Unleashed.
Wait, we're talking about the movies, the live action movies.
We're talking about the movies.
Yeah,
the actual movies.
I know what you're talking about.
It's not those guys. No, that's
okay.
That's an internal Sega company that does those CG things. So, their openings or the Where Sonic animated movie. Yeah, that's Sega themselves. That's their own CG company. In fact, they do actually make films in Japan. But no, that's not them doing an American film.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
I didn't say they did the American film. I thought
that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the CG of the American film. So it's a company called the Moving Picture Company. They're the ones that did the special effects for those movies. I've never heard of a Japanese CG studio doing CG work for an American movie. I could be wrong, but I've never heard of that before. That would be very unusual. But regardless,
maybe it was misinformed.
Fuck what we're talking about. We're talking about Sonic. Anyway.
Yes, I got and all that stuff.
Yep. Rayman 4, Riku, there you go. Another one that you want.
Well, I can only do. Hey, you know what I want from Ubisoft. They're over there trying to get another remake.
Prince of Persia, right? A real Prince of Persia. Let's get that back.
That's because I heard.
Yeah, now I remember we were talking about Naughty Dog. Anyway, go on. I was like, what are we talking about?
I think that's another remake that they said that they had to redo once again.
The fucking Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake.
Hey, all I gotta say is if they say they need to redo it and get it right, then do what you need to do. Because you know the saying. Once it's out there, it's out there.
Yeah.
It's do what you need to do. This is Sands of Time. Put some respect on it. So it's like y'all know how much I hate Ubisoft. Don't fuck this up, Ubisoft. There's only two things I care about from you. It's Prince of Persia and Rayman. Don't fuck this up for me.
Oh, man. All right, man. Yeah, don't fuck it up. All right, man. I think we're done here. Another great show in the books. So let's start wrapping it up with some plugs. Actually, Riku, do you have anything you want to plug?
Nah, man, we're good. At Riku Sun One, that's all I got for you guys.
All right, man. Thanks for being on. Great having you here. One of the OGs of Throwdown, Adam, what's going on with the TV terminal, man?
Just posted Revival episode 4, our review and coverage of that, so you can check that out. That's also over on the Coalition. And then in the morning, when everyone wakes up, you'll see our coverage for Murderbot episode 9. We're almost done with that. One more episode, and there goes that. But that seems to be like the #1 show for Apple. So it sounds like we will get a season 2, and it's based off of the Murderbot Diary. So they got plenty of content. Looks like that's their route that they're going with most of their shows. They're just picking up these popular sci-fi novels, and it's like, you know what? Let's make a show of that. We got that with Silo and Foundation and all this other stuff. So, yeah, that's it. That's what's going on, man. We got stuff coming.
And Rich, what's happening on the Coalition this weekend?
All right. So, as I mentioned earlier, I did do a discussion with Gary and Anthony regarding the Xbox layoffs. That's currently on the website. Working on a couple of other things that will be coming. I want to say next week, but to be very candid and very honest, I'm taking a break these next 3 days because I've been working a lot at my job, a lot of other stuff going on. So yeah, I will not. There is no other content coming from me directly for the Coalition this weekend, but next week, yeah, I got some stuff planned. So stay tuned for that.
I got his game review, his video that he put together for the new Marvel beat 'em up. That was really good.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Yes.
Okay. I did my research. I was right. The animation studio behind Sonic Unleashed is indeed the same CG animation behind the Sonic movies. They're called Marza Animation Planet. They're Japanese owned.
Yeah, but it says right here the Moving Picture Company. So who's right?
You say what?
The one that's listed here is the Moving Picture Company, MPC.
Maybe they both worked on it. It's possible they brought them in for some.
They may have done some background stuff. Yeah.
All right. Well, there it is.
Well, you know what?
But that's the one I was thinking of when I said what I said.
Yeah.
At the end, because I don't think, Sony, you've seen the Sonic movie, but at the end, it does show gameplay on the big screen of the game.
They could have done that. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So they probably could have redid everything so that way it looks amazing on the big screen because it's during the credits, and then you see them. He's doing it's the game. It's the game version, just running through.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah. All right, Rich. Anything else on the Coalition?
Oh no, that's pretty much it for right now. Stay tuned.
All right, Manny, what you got?
So it has begun. So I have it is the July, and I'm prepping for MGS Con coming up in August. So you're probably going to hear me talking about that on my Twitter and all that other stuff. So yeah, it's coming. So if you're going to MGS Con, they got a good amount of people to celebrate MGS 3. They literally have all the cast of the game, the American cast. You know,
Where is it?
And it's going to be in California. I think it's either called Calgary or it's weird. It sounds like Canada or Alberta, California. I can't remember the name of it, but yes. Just look for MGS Con and you'll find it out. I'm a guest of honor at the show as well as a bunch of other people who are in the thing. Also, you know, Nostalgia Palooza with me covers by Kari and I myself. Ninja Turtles covers are all out right now. Naruto covers out right now. We have a few more other ones for nostalgia properties coming, and then I just also have the cover I did for Power Rangers Prime, which I did a cover with the VR Troopers on, and the first appearance of that version of the Green Ranger. So all of that is all out in the streets or coming soon. So
the G.I. Joe stuff, you're still doing that, right?
There's no G.I. Joe stuff.
It was just that one. It was just that one cover. That was it.
That's the one cover. That was just
okay.
That. We know me and Kari worked for Skybound before, but you know, there's some fun stuff from Skybound coming. They're going to be reproducing our run on a huge omnibus for Tech Jacket, so that's coming up real soon as well. So a lot of our old stuff from like 10 years ago is going to get nicely reprinted in a big old dictionary-sized book that you can kill somebody with. Don't kill anybody with it.
Does anybody collect those books? I remember seeing them all the time.
What books?
And the omnibus, the big books. I remember seeing them all the time at Forbidden Planet.
Fuck! I got a shit ton of those.
So you do get those?
Oh yeah, not anymore because I ran out of space. You know,
I get trade. I'll get a trade, but those big ones are massive.
Oh, and I got a bunch of those. Manny knows he helped me move those motherfuckers.
Those things are heavy as fuck. But yeah, those omnibuses actually do quite well for a lot of the series. In fact, some places like Marvel have essentially ended their masterworks and are going to be focusing on the omnibuses now. You know, when it comes to reprints of old things. So that's a big one. Tony just disappeared for a second.
Yo, give me a second.
Yeah, I get it. I got the omnibus for Invincible. The three big ones.
Okay. All right,
big ones.
Check this out. Like this is just an example. I have a bunch of these, you know.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah,
I love
makes
these.
sense.
I love these. Because they're a great. Not only do they look cool, but they're a great way of like getting all the comics collected. But yeah, you do need to kind of read them on a shelf. Like you can't just be like, I'm just gonna read these because they're fucking heavy. You know?
That's what I'm saying. It's like I remember pulling them off, and I'm like, damn. I was like, I get the appeal. It's all in one book. It's like if let's say someone's like, I want to get into reading that, you could just like pull one off. Something here, you go.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah, you got to get this issue and that issue. There's 150
Yeah, it's like
issues.
Read this, motherfucker. Conan.
Yeah, just read this big book right here, and you're good. You get everything you want right in this one thing.
Yeah,
I love Omnibus as well.
By the way, real quick, Riku, I see what you're saying though, because like the live action Sonic movie was a joint venture between Sony Pictures and Marza Animation Planet, which is
I was right.
Yeah. So, but again, they didn't do the CG. They made the movie though. You know, it's a partnership. Understand?
They were part of it. They were a team. They helped.
Yeah. What's up?
Apparently, Nintendo Switch has not sold 5 million copies.
Oh, how much have it sold? Because remember that report we said was apparently sold. It's not actually not confirmed yet. Nintendo has not said that.
According to Dave Gibson, senior analyst at MTS Financial, who asked Nintendo directly, the company says the data that we saw came from internal testing and wasn't supposed to be public.
Ooh.
The full quote from Nintendo, shared by Gibson on X, is as follows. Quote, it appears that test data prepared for a website update was unintentionally made publicly accessible. Temporary visible data was for testing purposes only and not accurate and not related to any sales result or projections for the Switch 2. So the currently known numbers that we have are 3.5 million.
Yeah, that's the official one from Nintendo. Yeah. So those 5 million, but again, that's not official yet, so keep that in mind. But it would be interesting.
You're saying it can do 20 million?
Yeah, but Brett, it would be interesting, right? Because the second runner-up, and I don't have the exact numbers, or maybe the current champion is the PS4. So I wonder if it'll unseat that. But I don't have the numbers for how much that sold in its first month. But apparently that was the reigning champion.
Yep, and I haven't checked on Twitter or followed up on this, but apparently, yeah, Nintendo has come out and made an official announcement that it was not the correct numbers.
Oh, they said,
PS4
oh, see, this is what we do on Throwdown. We check our fucking facts, you know? So is that on Twitter right now? Let me look this up. Breaking
it's on Twitter.
It's from David Gibson, but I'm not seeing anything directly from Nintendo.
So is he an analyst?
Yeah.
He's a nerd.
He's a nerd. Okay, I think I may have found the guy. It's funny. This thing probably knows me. Here it is, Brett. I asked Nintendo about the quote-unquote leak of Switch 2 data, and they replied, it appears the test data prepared for a website update was unintentionally made public. Temporarily visible data was for testing purposes only and is not accurate and not related to any sales result for projection of Switch 2. So then he says, do not take that 5 million Switch 2 sales for June. But he says, I am expecting 5.4 million when results are announced for August. All right, so my man will, let me follow him. Let's follow you, and we'll see if you're right. Good stuff. Good, nice job on that, Brett. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Brett doing some investigative journalism.
This is what we do around here, man. Check our facts, you know. Anyway, get yourself some omnibuses. You get big and strong carrying these fucking things.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. It's awesome.
I'm like 600 pages into the omnibus of Invincible.
Let's go.
Oh shit! I got one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, the compendiums.
What's that?
The compendiums, the Invincible compendiums.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
I got the first one.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I need to. I have the second one too. I need to buy the third one because the third one is where I'm hearing about this crazy motherfucker Thrag is at. I need to see what the hell that's about.
Let's go. Adam's nodding. He knows, but we're not gonna say nothing here.
I can't say anything more about Invincible.
That's it.
Apparently,
No,
I
that's
spoil everything.
Yeah.
The internet. I break everything.
At the internet.
Yeah. That was pretty funny. All right, before Riku spoils anything, let's get out of here, man. Like Thrag.
Yeah, I just know his name. I don't know nothing else.
Yeah, oh, good. Don't say nothing else. You know.
Yeah.
Oh man, but listen, you guys got to see Conquest. I'm very happy about that, man. Conquest is fucking awesome. All right, anyway, we're done here, so make sure you follow Throwdown on Twitch and Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Check us out on Discord, and follow us on your favorite podcast app. Links to everything down below. Once again, I was your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I was joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you next time. And for those of you in the United States, have a happy 4th of July.
4th of July, man. Celebrate your country's independence by blowing up a small piece of it. Let's go. Chris Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero.
Peace out.
Adam Vale.
Blow your fingers off, people. Don't do that.
Don't do
M80s.
that. Yeah. Speaking as someone who lost a finger.
Yeah, man. I was one time. Here's a story.
Yeah, let's go.
Here's a story at the end of the show.
There we go. It was when I used to live. Many members when I lived in the.
Many you remember?
In the Lower East Side, right off from off the FDR Drive. They would close it down so people can go and see all the fireworks and stuff. So you could jump over the railing. Normally there's cars, no cars. So I remember buying those, what are they called? Tanks, where there was like 10 firecrackers on one and pop, 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 pop. So since I didn't have much money, I would untangle those and then light one and then throw it. Right? That's what you do. Yeah, poop. So anyway, I lit one and went to throw and somebody just walked in front. And I'm like, oh no. And I went to turn, there was no one. And it popped in my hand and my finger split open. Just like that. So I was like, shit. After that, no more throwing fireworks. I'm done.
Oh man! All right, Brett Murdoch.
Just want to throw out there, since Carlos isn't apparently going to step up and take credit. That's the motherfucker who got me the Invincibles on the bus. So thanks for being a cool dude.
Nice, good stuff. I think he's muted right now, but yeah, shout out to Carlos, man. All right, Richard Bailey Jr.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Brian Manjoma.
Hello, peoples.
And of course, Riku-san won, the only one.
Peace out, people. Thanks for having me.
You already know. All right, guys. Happy 4th of July, and we will see you on Sunday. Later.
Peace.
Peace out.